Vincent, been a while. We were just talking offline. I was looking the last time we chatted was 6 years ago. Probably some people weren't even listening to the podcast back then. Probably some people were too young, which is scary to listen to the podcast back then. And that was a year after you'd started your farm. You're in the Catskill Mountains in the kind of that lower right corner of New York State. A lot's happened since 2018. COVID, much other things in the world, how it's changed. We've seen a lot of inflation. What's the whirlwind been like over the last 6 years?
Yeah, a lot has happened in the world, and a lot has happened in my personal life as well. The family has grown. Um, in a way, we have been able to withstand the whirlwind pretty well because we've been steady. We've not panicked over all this. Um, yeah, and on the business side of it, um, I would say that in a way we've been blessed to rely mostly on grocers and supermarkets for market stream, and therefore the whole restaurant impact um, didn't didn't touch us that much. I think in 2020, at the beginning of the year, restaurant sales were maybe about 10 to 15% of our top line. So losing that really wasn't a big deal. And then business picked up real quickly in retail, supermarket sales. And since then, we've just kept cranking it for supermarkets, and we've only picked up a few restaurants here and there when really the opportunity was good. So overall, it's been good. Uh, we're still not rich. We're still scratching and clawing. It's still a very small business, but we've also gone into a new venture and expanding into something else than microgreens. We now do specialty mushrooms, and we've been working on this project for many years now. So I don't know. I would say to answer your question, it's been good overall.
Yeah, I mean it's good to hear for the amount of people that probably get interested in microgreens because it's definitely one of the low barrier to entry ways into farming. It's at the far left-hand curve. Then you get to market farming, then you get into things like livestock that require a ton of land. You've made it 6 years, so you've beat that curve where a lot of people tap out probably in year one, or they can't figure out how to make it or how to figure out, where am I going to sell everything that I'm going to grow. What do you think have been your keys to success? What's enabled you to get 6 years? What are those success keys?
Well, there are two parts to this, but the first part to answer the question is I figured out now that I've been farming for 6 years or so that the growing process, producing the thing, although it's of course you know you could argue the most important phase of the process, it's also the easiest. You just have to do it very well and do it right and figure it out and systematize. But once you know how to do this, really it's rinse and repeat, and you don't have to you're not dealing with people. Well, you're dealing with staff and with yourself, but you know what I mean. You're not relying on someone else to make a decision. So that's one thing. The second thing is the most difficult thing is to sell this stuff. Selling certified organic, top quality, expensive local products like produce is it's a bit of a challenge. There's a lot of cheap food out there. There's a lot of stuff that is maybe a little less flashy, but a lot more affordable. So marketing and sales is really the center, crucial part um, of our success. there's no way we would have made it without strong marketing and sales. And the big blessing for us is because we live next to this crazy place called New York City, and they have a lot of people and a lot of fancy grocery stores, supermarkets and such. Um, and that's really when I started. That's what I saw. I saw there was a gap in the market there at the time. There were no microgreens of good quality offered in those places. Um, and it was very clear to me. All that was available was really subpar, or there was nothing in some places. So, it was just hitting the road, giving them free samples, showing up, paying for the buyback credit until the market customers were accustomed to the product and started purchasing it. So it was a game of patience and insisting and just going on Google Maps and finding all those locations and just yeah, we've done a lot of sales. Sales in person and free samples has really been the key. And now we've secured about 30 retail locations that we serve every week throughout the region and New York City. And so that's been the key. Without that, forget it. We've done a few farmers market, we've done restaurants, but without those steady every week the same order retail sales, we wouldn't have made it. I don't think so.
Reverse order here. One thing people would probably want to wipe over this story with is be like, you're near New York City. Like that's easy. And that's like saying, well, Jason Tatum just signed a 300+ million contract extension in the NBA. And I could say, well, anybody could make the NBA, right? You just practice hard enough, you could make it. Like there's nothing limiting you to making all that money. But there really is, because it comes down to you have to apply skills, consistency, do the work, do a lot of prospecting, do a lot of cold calling to take advantage of the market. Sure, it's great that that market's there, but just being there does not in and of itself denote success, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, I'm a Frenchman and I'm an immigrant here, and we decided to raise our family near New York City for some very, very obscure reason that we can't really justify to ourselves anymore. But yeah, so I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's really pretty much all I know of living in the USA is living here in this. We live in a very rural county. Sullivan County, where we're located, is I think it's 70,000 people total. And it's a 2.5 hour drive to the city. So, going there on sales for the days and taking the trip, it's actually not as easy as it sounds. It's a bit of a challenge. Um, so I don't know. Yeah, maybe it is a huge advantage. I suppose you could see it that way. And especially when it comes to finding a lot of retail locations. Um, there are also a lot of restaurants in New York Cities, and we've been very subpar, very poor at getting them to buy from us when it comes to microgreens. So I would say, yeah, you're probably right. It's a big advantage. There's also a big struggle.
30 different retail locations. How many of those are owned by the same company?
Um, I don't think there's any. I don't think we have any chains anymore. We've worked with a few chains. No, it's all independent stores.
Okay, so that's 30
Co-ops.
independent customers.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so yeah, I mean that's even more impressive because it's like if half those were owned by one company, it's like you get your foot in the door in one, and it's like, hey, we have 14 other
Sure.
stores, right? Sell to all the rest. So takeaways from that, like what you've had 6 years of trying this, you've had success doing it, you're still selling to stores, it's your biggest market stream. What has worked to get into these stores? You identified a niche. What has been the success things, the vector to get in and stay in?
So when I started my market research many years ago, um, I came across this figure that I thought was really stunning. Is that in a grocery store's produce section, leafy greens represent 40% of business sales. So almost every other sale in that fresh produce section is going to be a box of salad greens, a head of lettuce, a box of arugula, something like this. So I thought getting in there was that group like on that spot of the store is basically, it's the prime location. It's the best place to be. And the microgreens allow us to be there. Um, so that's the strength of the market there to that gives us an edge. Now, in order to be successful with that, you have to have two things. First, you have to have top product quality. You can't fake it. It has to be perfect microgreens every week, not wet, no dead stuff in it, no paper towel, no dead space and they're collapsing half in the box, no half-baked label. It has to be, buy the very nice packaging, print beautiful labels, and spend a lot of time on your design to make it look the best it can and make the product awesome. That's number one. Number two is price point and sizing of your packages. You want to understand, it's like a game. It's like a math game of some sort. It's like an equation. You want to look at those boxes of baby arugula and leafy greens um, and packed heads of lettuce in that section, and you want to understand what's going on with the pricing and with the size of the product that's offered. How many ounces are in a box of baby spinach and stuff like that? For what price? And what you want to do with your microgreens pricing and sizing strategy, in my opinion, and what's been successful with us, is to get to a price point where you're just above their pricing. Not much. You don't want to go way above. You just want, so say, I think these days in New York City and many other stores, like a box of baby arugula is probably like $6.99, $7.99, something like that. Like the average, California grown organic girl stuff, which is in every store. So we want our product to be, we have a wide product line. We have 7 different items. We have a few of them that are a little bit under that, but a majority of them that are a little bit over that. And that pricing, getting in that bracket, getting in that range, makes it seamless for the customer to look at our product and be like, oh yeah, this is like totally normal. There's nothing wrong with that. This is priced normally. Yes, of course, the box is only 1.25 ounces or 2.5 ounces. We play on the volume, and that's where the spreadsheet nerdiness has to come into effect. Really have to crunch those numbers effectively to make sure that you can create a profitable product and yet make it so that it seems seamlessly affordable for the person who shops at that location. That's the secret. I'm really revealing it. No holding back here.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's super wise. So per ounce, you're obviously more than that arugula in that section. You're trying to get your package price in the ballpark of the organic leafy greens in there. So when somebody sees everything on the shelf, it's like everything's about $7. I'm not flinching when I see microgreens at 7. Got it.
Exactly.
Can you, given your cost structure, can you get your container full enough to make it valuable. You could almost imagine, like, this is an extreme example, but you could take one of those little vending machine eggs that comes out and put microgreens in it, right? And charge $7 for it, almost like you're selling saffron or something. And then that would be ridiculous. It could be insanely stuffed, as big as the arugula, and you're losing money. When you land at that volume, and I'm assuming this is the case because you're still at business, does it look big enough to justify the price? And is that where getting the right package comes in? Like something like shorter and maybe wider, I'm thinking, like, makes it look like there's more there than actually is.
Yeah, I think you're getting the idea. Yeah, the way we've done is that we start with the price. We start with understanding how much we want the price to be for that item, say for sunflower shoots. And then we work backwards to determine, well, how much product can we put in? How many ounces can we afford to put in the package? And then we find the package. So yeah, it really has to start with the price, because the price is going to be a big, like, the main driver of decision. And, honestly, for, 90% of people shopping, they're not going to look if they don't care if there are 3 ounces or 4 ounces in the box. I've seen the competition do, there are many, many, many microgreens company around us doing, sort of the same stuff. But so, the weight in the packages are all over the place. People have tried a lot of different things. But I think our strength have been to start with the price, with a clear strategy there, and then to adapt it to where we can be profitable. And we're also, so there are many products on which we don't make that much money, including our best selling products, is our least profitable product. I think when you go with a strategy like that, you have to be ready to take a hit on a few different products in the line and have other products that are very profitable, just to average it out, and not try to make your margin steady on every product in the line, just so that you can harmonize the pricing, make it seamless. And yeah, I don't know, I feel like I'm ranting, but this
No,
is
no, you're dead on.
this
We have
is
to
the
do the
idea.
same thing. Yeah, we have to do the exact same thing with our stuff. You realize
Uh-huh.
I'm going to eat it on one product. I don't want to lose money on it,
Sure.
but I want to sell this because, like you said, it's seamless. It fits into the ecosystem of what you're selling. It offers more variety. People would want it if you didn't
Mm-hmm.
have it. So just putting it there makes sense. What's the low end margin you'll take before you just say we will not produce this, we will not sell it? Where do you need to be?
Okay. Well, we're actually thinking of discontinuing one of them. Micro cilantro is it's a great product. It's a very delicious thing to use in your kitchen, but it takes an extra week in our system to grow, um, just because the germination is so slow, and then it takes a full 2 weeks under the lights to be ready to harvest. So in our system, everything is on a 1 week rotation. We only grow crops that we can harvest after 1 week under the lamps. Um, but the micro cilantro needs 2 weeks, so it's double the real estate, right? So that's how we look at it. It's double the real estate, and it's less top line revenue, just because the yield is so small. I think your tray of micro cilantro only yields, I don't know, 4 to 7 ounces, depending on how successful it is. And it's a crop that's prone to disease. So we sterilize our seeds, we know all the tricks, we cover with soil, and still we have crop failure here and there. Not major, but enough so that it's just always a thorn in our side. We charge a huge premium for it. I think it's a 1 ounce box that we sell for 469 469 to the store. So they probably charge $8 or $9 for it. Um, so it's one of our most expensive item when it comes to the ratio of price per ounce. And yeah, and it's our least profitable crop by far, just because of the real estate it takes in our system. We have very limited space. We're only in a 1,000 square foot building. So just when we grow 24 trays of micro cilantro every week, well, it actually takes 48 slots in our system. Um, and just because of that, it reduces our average sale per real estate unit. And there we go. So this is where the nerdy number crunching comes in, and now we're thinking of discontinuing it totally. We may keep a little bit of it for a few locations that we just want to indulge, and they're just excellent customers, and it helps us to have a wide variety of products. So uh, it's possible we'll just half it in the first place, and we'll see. We're stopping for the summer because we can't grow it. It's too hot in July and August, and we have a lot of crop failure. So we're stopping it. We'll see. I'm kind of in the mind of not bringing it back. We tell everybody it's coming back in September. We're never going to bring it back. We'll see.
When you look at pricing, how you initially were saying you want to be in the range of what the store is selling in its produce
Mhm.
section for leafy greens, you don't set the price in the store. So are you strategically putting your wholesale pricing knowing that the store is going to mark it up and get it into that range? Is that how you're doing it?
Oh yeah, that's a very easy conversation to have with the produce manager, who is typically the person making the sales decision. What are your margins? How much do you mark up? If I sell this for this much to you, how much can you put it on the shelf for? That's a very simple. It's just a matter of communicating clearly with the buyer, uh, and they're open to it. They'll tell you. There's no secret there.
Yeah, I mean, they want it to
So
work, right?
yeah, they want it to work. They want us to be informed and to be able to price it accordingly. And um, so yeah, we just and the range varies widely. We work with the biggest historic food co-op in Brooklyn, and um, their markup is the smallest of all of all of our customers. I think they mark up 24%. I think that's it. Yeah. So if you sell them something for $10, they'll sell it for 12.40, which is unheard of. I mean, especially in this location, it's a very very small margin. Most margins in a fresh produce section, in my experience, are more in the range of 40 to 100%, depending on the location, the store, how much uh, business they have in that section, how much. So yeah, so that's what we have to work with, and we just have to work with it. And the thing is, their markup is sort of set in stone. It's like a store policy. They figured out that that's their markup, or they have a narrow range, and that's what they're going to do. They don't have a lot of maneuver and room for change. So on the other hand, when they purchase, say, the Organic Girl spinach boxes from a distributor or from Organic Girl, they all get the same price roughly, right? Maybe they have a small adjustment, a discount based on volume, but they roughly all get the same price. So some stores are more expensive than others, and that's just the way it is. And they will they will mark up differently. I know one of our highest markup store is in the Upper East Side, another historic location, like a landmark of New York City. They mark up 200%. So it really depends.
With a lot of food costs and other costs up over the last few years with inflation, have you seen stores pushing the price of your product up? And has that enabled you or forced you to raise your prices?
So some say eat the rich, but I say feed the rich. This is kind of our business model here. We yes, food prices are up, but there are so many people in New York City who are above those considerations. I'm not above those considerations. We make a pretty modest living still at this. Uh, it's a big blessing. We make a living out of it. Um, but for many of our customers, this is not a big problem. They, if you just look at the medium income in Brooklyn or in Manhattan and understand that you have a full quarter of the population that will basically not look at the price of the grocery bill. Okay, and that's the reality. The reality is that that's our market. That's the majority of our of the people who purchase from us. So I think we're very lucid about that, and of course the grocery stores play that game 100%. They are very they understand that as well. Um, so yeah, there's been creep. The creep has been on our end more than on the store's hand. Yeah, they've raised their margins a little bit, uh, but we have raised our prices significantly because our costs have gone up. And what we've seen is that over the course of 3 years, we've raised our prices maybe close to 40% altogether, maybe 35% across the board, and sales have increased.
Yeah, that's the beauty of selling to a market that's price uh, independent. They want
It's
quality and price doesn't matter. It makes
exactly.
things so much easier if you can get
If
that market.
yeah, if your product is stunning and it just stands out, um, and it's and you sell it to the crowd that can afford it, it doesn't matter. $7 or $8 doesn't make a difference to the person. And $7 or $8 might make a difference to you on your spreadsheet when you're how you're pricing your product. So yeah.
I mean, one thing I was thinking, and I probably know the answer to this before I ask it: price, packaging, quality of the product. It doesn't sound like that so much in your location, a three-legged stool. Is packaging by far the biggest leg on the stool in terms of buyer perception to get them to pick it off the shelf? They're not looking at the price. Who cares? That's out the window. Is it quality of what they get, or is the packaging there more important? And it's tricky because packaging gets you to buy once, quality gets
Yeah,
you to buy again and
yeah,
again.
yeah. No, I think it's quality exactly for that because you're after the repeat customer. You don't want someone to buy it once. You want someone to buy it every week or twice a week. So, and I know for a fact that that's the case because many of my produce managers tell me about those customers who show up and the shelf is empty and they complain and they say, "Where is my stuff?" So people have learned to know the brand and expect that every week it will always be the very top qualities that they expect, and they will buy again and again and again. So yeah, quality is number one. Of course, to break into the market when you get started, you have to have the design, the label, and the packaging right, just so that uh, you can get started and you can get interest right away.
Has your label and packaging changed since 2018 when we last talked?
Yeah, yeah, we've done iterations of it. We've done little tweaks and improvement. We spent. My wife is an artist. She's a trained artist, and she has spent a lot of time with us working on those labels to make them very unique and stand out, and it works. So it's a very small label, but It carries a lot of fine print, a lot of, well, not that fine, but fairly small print. And and I think that's, yeah, that's really important. I see a lot of farms, a lot of microgreens farm put a product out there, and the quality might be all right, and they're using a similar box than we do, clear plastic clamshell, but their label comes from home label machine thing from Amazon that prints with two color, maybe three colors, and has a on the paper that is low quality and that looks wet very quickly and degrades with water, and that's not the way to go. You have to have something that looks pristine on the store shelf for 10 days, 15 days or something.
Yeah, I'm looking at one of your labels here from Berlandra Natural Foods. Maybe I don't know if this is an older label. Broccoli. It's like it's rectangular. Says broccoli across the top. Organic microgreens below it. It's all. It's not. When you first were telling me your wife was an artist, it's not as artsy as I would have thought. I think it's just a really clean label. It's got your logo in it, USD organic. It's got a barcode for the store. Up to 40 times the vital nutrients of mature plants grown in rich, healthy living soil, unwashed, BPA free case, solar and wind powered. So you got some buzzwords on there. Um, and then you got your location, who it's certified organic by, and that's it. It's a really clean looking label.
That must be that's our old label.
Okay, that's the old
I
one.
mean, yeah, the design has not changed. You can find the new ones if you look up Farm to People. Farm to People in Brooklyn is a CSA aggregator, and they took pictures recently. We onboarded them recently, and I think if you look into their leafy green section, they have very nice pictures of our products, and that's the new label. But that's the gist of it. A few things have changed. We don't purchase solar generated electricity for once because the prices have gone nuts on that. But so we've removed that from the label, and we've seen no change at all. And yeah, I would say sales have gone up, so it's completely unrelated. But yeah, we've put a few more things that we understand are necessary on food labels, because we've also, as the business has grown, we're doing a little bit more of understanding what the red tape is and what's the legal requirements for everything we do are. So we've added a few things that are required by law. But yeah, that's the gist of it. Very clear, very minimalist, simple, and yeah, it's worked for us. But
Yeah, that
again, I was stressed the quality is is really what has made our company. The consistency and the quality, not the label is just how to get the foot in the door.
I want to touch on quality and just for people following along. So the label has changed to up to 40 times the nutrients of mature plants grown in rich, healthy living soil. I think all that's the same. BPA free case, that's the same. Solar, wind, gone. And I think before it said unwashed. Now you say wash before use. That's probably the red tape,
That's right.
CYA part.
That's right.
Got it. Quality microgreens. What does that mean to you? What do you think it means to the customer?
Shelf life, it has to last. And the only way for it to last is that when it's packed, it needs to be dry. If they're wet when you pack them, they will rot in the box. And you cannot pack dead little horrible dead microgreens in your microgreens. So you have to grow them to perfection. If you have little dead strands of microgreens here and there in your tray, and you pack that, the whole thing will go bad. Or if it doesn't, the whole thing doesn't go bad. The person will open the box and drop the content on a plate and see that there's a bunch of little dead, moldy, rotting pieces in there, and that is the last time they will buy from you. So you have to grow the trays to perfection. There's no 96%. It has to be 100% pristine. No disease, no mold, no dead strands, no nothing, and no water on the leaves when you harvest them. So your watering timing has to be very well adjusted with your harvest. Additionally, we have come to the painful conclusion that we cannot automate and use machinery for harvesting and packing microgreens. Because of our quality standards, we've just consistently tested and then refused to use any machinery. So we don't use any quick cut harvest cutters. We've returned them. We don't use any those little electric scissors that just clip the tray. We do everything with very sharp ceramic knives by hand. And this way, every time that we harvest a handful, we can look at it. And if there's anything wrong with it, any dead little thing, it can be removed or it goes to the bin and it's not packed. And I think that's the key, because without this, and we've tried everything, and we've also run it by our customers and kind of tracked the difference and the response that we've got. And it's just, now we're the only company around, as far as I know, who is nuts enough and dedicated enough to actually do this. It's just the cost of doing this is enormous when it comes to labor and the time that is involved in this.
What's harvest time per tray on average?
Let's see. I think it takes us 12 hours of labor with a crew of 3 per week. So that's 36 hours. We've got roughly 400 trays. Add another 4 hours, because sometimes it goes a little longer. Sometimes we go back to it. Some late orders come in. Say 40 hours, 40 man hours for 400 trays. So on average, 10 trays per hour. So 6 minutes. So it's horrible. It's not, that's not where we make money. that's our biggest cost in the business. But it
Well,
is also what, yeah.
you could argue that is where you make the money, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just, that's the biggest cost. And it's it's difficult, and it's also tedious, it's like day in, day out. I mean, we have 2 days a week where we harvest, Monday and Tuesday. We start at 8 o'clock in the morning, and usually by 2 or 3 o'clock we're done. And we cut and pack our 400 trays, and it's a crew of 3 again. So it's a big investment in terms of our time and our effort and money wise. But in my humble opinion, it's the way to do it for long-term success.
Yeah, it's like $2 a tray if you're paying somebody $20 an hour in harvesting costs there. So yeah, but if it keeps them coming back, it's part of what you're doing. It's part of selling to that premium market. Maybe you go to a farmer's market,
Exactly.
maybe you're in a different location. I think this is where people have to really be cognizant of, this is not one size fits all. Maybe your market is okay with bigger pack sizes. Maybe your market's okay with no label. Maybe your market's okay with something that you can mechanized or harvest with a machine. It just comes down to, you got to do what works for your market. And more importantly is, you have to know. It's like, when you don't know and you're guessing, that's where mistakes are made. Because if you could harvest with a machine and save all that time, save all the labor, make it probably more enjoyable for some of the people doing it, you'd do it. But I'm assuming you've tried it and the results were just not good. Was it stem discoloration? Was it you're getting a bunch of crap in there with the microgreens, and then you got to spend a ton of time like picking through it. So you're saving at one part, but then your QC goes way up.
Yeah, all of the above, all of the above, and it can be just put in a nutshell with shelf life.
Yeah.
If you harvest with one of those automated harvesters, inevitably you will have debris in it. You will have, little pieces of cut microgreens in it. You will have dead stuff that should have been picked out right away that you will not be able to remove. You will have little debris of soil, which we grow in soil, so we also have to be very careful to keep everything clean and not have any soil going in there. And your shelf life will drop dramatically. And for us, because we are located on the shelf of a grocery store for days and days, I mean, many of our products have more than 12 days of shelf life, and some have more than 16 days, where it looks perfect at day 16. And you just can't get that if you automate it, because the human hand is this beautiful beautiful thing that can, and our eye, and our attention and our precision, and we can just do better than the machines.
Is part of your job is owner to instill in the people doing the harvesting, this is a really important task. Don't just crank through it. Don't zone
Oh yeah.
out, like pay attention. Cause I mean, it's one thing to say it and then you assign it to somebody and they're just chop, 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 throw it in, chop, 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 and you don't get the results that you set out for. So do you find yourself doing a lot of employee management training, that type of thing to communicate this matters?
Oh yeah. But I mean, you don't get to work here if you don't get that part really really quick. It's just, I mean, that's just the most important part of what we do. That's, we really want to make every single box like this little standout thing that looks pretty. This is really key. And yeah, so of course, employee training, the crew leader that leads the harvest. Like I said, it's a crew of 3 doing this for 2 days out of the week. So the crew leader really has to be the one super on board. So we are 2 owners. My brother-in-law Luke is 50% partner in the business, and so there's typically one of us being the crew leader, but we're training someone now to eventually replace us. Yeah, it's just part of it. It's just part of the company culture, I think. Yeah,
It's
I,
what we
I
do.
don't really believe in employee training. I believe in hiring the people who already get it right away.
Yeah, that's a big step in the right direction. They're already
Yes, yes.
halfway, they're already moving down the right path. One thing I want to hit before I move off the grocery store, what is the management of stock in the buying terms? Is it consignment? Is it they buy it and that's it? Do you manage the shelf? Is it all the same? So a lot of questions there, but what
Mhm.
what is the model you're at with some or maybe some different models with the stores?
Yeah, that's an important part. It's so I guess it depends who we're dealing with. So some stores are a bit more high tech and a bit more tuned in than others. Some places that we sell to, like few CSA aggregators or larger companies, have very advanced inventory management systems, and they track their data and they understand their cycle throughout the year, and when is they know when a week is going to be slow, they know when a week is going to be hot. So with a lot of places like that, it's very easy. They just place an order, They never ask for money back, just because they're good at it. Other places, they're less good at it, and they make mistakes, and they buy more than they should, or they buy less than they should, and they need a little bit of help. And the way we help them is that when they so here's how it works. On Monday morning, I'm on the phone and emails and texts, and my phone explodes. And all it is me getting in touch with everybody and asking them their weekly order. Um, so they will take an inventory in person at the location, and either they'll tell me what they have left or they'll just simply place an order. And my job is really to know the person, know their strengths and weaknesses, and know their typical mistakes. And if I know that this guy always orders more than he should every other week, and then he always has a little bit too much left at the end of that period, I'll just short him. I'll just short his order. He will not notice, most likely, just because he will just look at the invoice to make sure everything is in the package when he receives the shipment. But he will not necessarily notice that he got 16 pieces instead of 18 of that one. And this way I manage their inventory sort of independently from them to a certain degree. And if I feel like they're not buying enough, I'll just give them a hint and be like, oh, this is a small order. I thought it seems like you don't have much left, so do you want an extra five of this? And they'll be receptive to it. So I think they appreciate the help. They appreciate to have another set of eyes looking at the numbers and helping them. And that's pretty much all I can do. Uh, so yeah, it's for 2/3 of our buyers that doesn't come into play. They're good, and they will do this work themselves. And for the last third, the kind of the laggards, they need a little help, and so that's what we do.
Nice value add service.
Yeah, I mean it optimizes our sales too, and it makes sure there's no old product left on the shelf. Make sure nothing's wasted. Now we also offer a buyback credit for a very small amount of customers, and it's those that fall in that latter category who are maybe not the most advanced at keeping their track of their inventory and adjusting their orders properly. We take the hit. It's 50% only, so we will only reimburse them or give them a credit for half the value of whatever product is perished. But it keeps them happy, and you know the total cost per year of that is has always been less than 1% of our top line,
Mm.
and right now it's hovering at the 0.5% of our top line revenue. So it's a very small cost to keep a small crew of guys who are maybe not the best with managing inventory very happy and very confident that no matter what they'll get a little bit of money back if they don't do it perfect, and it's well worth it. Now we don't offer that for big accounts who do everything very well.
30-ish stores. Are you tapped out in terms of what you could sell?
Yeah, we also have catering companies and restaurants, and we are almost maxed out. Like I said, I want to discontinue the cilantro to free a little bit more space. We are close to tapped out. We have 3 delivery routes per week, 2 in the city and 1 local in our refrigerated van. And recently, we've been able to hire a driver finally, so we don't have to do that ourselves. But we are almost at full capacity, and we're not expanding microgreens because that was our genius idea, is to diversify into something else. So now we've expanded into mushrooms. I just yeah we have a lot of faith in our system and our market and our customer base, but we also know that it took us many years to get to maxing out this little 1,000 square foot building. Uh,
How many
and
trays a week in 1,000 square feet?
400.
Okay, so 400 trays a week. If you had a grocery customer who you didn't sell to, and they said, "I want to buy 40 trays a week worth," what would you do?
40 trays a week. I think 40 trays a week is a lot, actually. 40 trays a week would be, see if I get 200 or 250 packs or something. That's maybe like our largest customer buys that much, or maybe not even quite. So that would
Yeah.
be a very uncommon. Yeah, I mean,
Like a big
I
amount. Like
don't
if
know.
somebody came in with a big enough amount where if you're, I'm asking because you're tipping up, you're bumping your head on the space ceiling.
Oh yeah,
And then if you got a big enough order, what that was attractive enough to expand, like what would you do at that point? Would you go to the
I would
next
put them on
phase?
the waiting list. I would put them on the waiting list and wait for another 5 to be on that waiting list. That's what I would do.
Okay.
Uh, I would not act on it before we would have something seriously uh, more relevant than 40 trays a week. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we had the opportunity to expand. We thought about it. We put it all on paper. We run the spreadsheets. We looked at what if we double, what if we triple, what if we go 10x, and in the end we didn't do it because, um, like I said, our business model has been, we are about as niche as you can get because we're in the microgreens niche, but we also are in a specific marketing niche where we cater to a very specific type of customer, and that's where we have found success. I don't think I could just wing it and replicate big success doing farmers market or selling wholesale or selling to distributors, and therefore, I just don't feel confident that it was the right move for us at that point to expand. Um, if we were to land more stores of the caliber that we were working with, they would be geographically spread out way more. Now we would become a regional type company, and then the logistics of that serving customers dotted out throughout the region when it comes to trucking and distribution and all that, that would be a different ballpark. And so, yeah, we haven't done it, but we'll see. I mean, maybe we are open to it. It's possible that the opportunity will come. I know, for instance, that Whole Foods Market, which has about 20 locations in New York City, they used to have a very nice microgreens farm supplying them. A guy that was located on Long Island. He was doing everything right. We actually copied a lot of what he was doing when we started. Um, and but he stopped. He moved on. He lost interest with 2020. He had a lot of fancy restaurants in the city, and he just didn't want to battle through the. He had means and he didn't need to do it, so he didn't want to battle through the COVID, and he stopped. And then Whole Food Market, I think that was about the time when the ownership changed and some decisions when it comes to buying products at Whole Food markets are not the same anymore. So they, I'm not gonna talk bad about them, but we all know what's going on there. And so the quality there for the microgreens product is maybe not as top of the line as it could be. So we'll see. Maybe there will be an opportunity in the future with them, but I wouldn't, you know, even with something an opportunity like this, I would think twice. Um, I've
What's the
heard,
risk
I've
as you
seen,
see it?
yeah.
What's the risk?
Oh, the risk is low sales. The risk is high capital investment because this stuff, I mean, yeah, it's low barrier to entry, but it's not nothing. You still have to have the infrastructure in place. Here in our climate, we need an insulated finished building, with utilities, a lot of shelving, a lot of power consumption, all the gear that goes on the shelves, and the trays, and the capital investment to get started on growing a lot of trays on a rotation. So if the sales aren't there, I'm not doing it. So yeah, I mean, maybe it's a bit too cautious, but that's how I see it.
So given that, if you throw out the mushrooms for now, and we just segregate the microgreen chunk of the business, and let's just pretend that's its own business.
Yep.
You're at capacity. So
Mhm.
given that, does that business itself do what you need it to do? And what I mean by that is, does it make enough money to pay everybody, get you what you need for income for your family, your business partner? Like, can you guys save? It's one because there's a lot of scenarios I can imagine where it's like, hey, we're at capacity, we make money, but it's not enough. So with just that microgreen business, is it a good business in your context for your life?
Um, I think it's a bit of a nuanced answer. The short answer is yes, it's profitable. We take home pay, enough to make a living, and we keep money in the business, and we can pay our staff $20 an hour for work that is pretty pleasant with a good company culture. And, it's varied, it's pretty fun in the end, for a lot of young people who are interested to do it. So I would say, yeah, the short answer is yes. However, we all know that costs of living, are going up, have gone up, are going up, will keep going up. And I've looked recently, the median family income in New York State went from $50,000 a year to $75,000 a year in 15 years, last 15 years or so, 12, 15 years. So, you know, we take more than 50 grand home, but each of us, but it's just, we're not making six figures. And so it's not like we have plenty. We're all right. Now, our genius idea there is to diversify the company and get those mushroom sales going so that will be the complement. So we want to have another fairly profitable business. We've built a facility just next to our microgreens building, and we spent 2.5 years doing construction, and we spent a year learning how to grow specialty mushrooms, and our sales are picking up. So that's our plan. That's how we were going to complement that, and that's how we're going to make it to the next level. Um, I just We've struggled with microgreen sales for the first couple of years. I think our second year we did 230,000 top line, and we thought, well, this is not cutting it. We're not going to make it here. This was too small. And
At 230?
I, yeah, yeah. Yeah, because we're two partners in this. It's not like I work
Right.
with my wife and we take all the profit home, we
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
split
sure.
this. So it was money was tight for the first 3 years. Um, and but we've realized also that the the way that we've approached it with who we sell to and what type of customers that we're trying to target makes it so that it's not that easily replicable. It's not like we're doing farmers markets and let's just triple and do another 15 farmers markets with a crew of guys and another couple trucks. It's not that simple. So yeah, so mushrooms.
Where's the microgreen business at now, dollar wise, if you want to say?
Yeah, top line, hovering between 350 and 400, and we hope to get above 400. So, you know, if you want to look at it in terms of tray production and revenue per tray, we're a little bit above $20 revenue per tray that we grow. I mean, we've been under 400 trays for most of the time. We go over seasonally. So, we're at $20, $25 per tray gross revenue. And so we have 3 staff member, part-time driver, part-time staff member doing mostly harvesting and some chores, and then a full-time person on the farm, and then 2 owners. So it's a staff of 5 that has to be paid based on $400,000 top line when it comes to the microgreens.
What's the average cost into a $20 tray? 10? Lower? Higher?
It's always hard to calculate this because where do you start? Where do you stop? Like,
I mean, if you
we
just looked at
expect to,
if you just looked at seed, soil, labor,
yeah,
packaging.
yeah. Well, labor takes into account, trucking, and trucking takes into account getting a new engine on our delivery van.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
it's just hard to break it down by, at this point, I just want my accountant to clean the books every month and see if there is a profit in the business.
Is
But
is it is it close
I'm not
enough
so
where profit's questionable, or is it like there's always a profit? It's just a question of how
no,
broad.
there's always a profit. There's always a profit. The question is how much, because we'd like to take some of it home because
Sure.
otherwise we can't pay our bills. So yeah, no, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's good margin. I would say probably currently in the microgreens on margins, it's about 20% profit after everybody gets paid and everything is paid off. So, it's good. It's good for any small business to have a 20% margin. So yeah, we can't complain. Um, and I think a lot of the growing pains, the capital investments, buying the refrigerated van, for example, is paid for now, and we're getting a brand new engine in it, so it's going to be awesome. Um, and so yeah, the capital investments are paid for, and so yeah, it's good. It's not the gravy train, but it's all right.
Well, if we go back in time here to I think this is early 2018 when you sent this, you said our current model to serve grocers and CSAs, but if we don't reach our sales goals by the end of the winter, we need plan B. We're not very confident in the market plan because we're specialized and have no experience. Should we consider it? Um, so you were nervous at reading into this in early
Nervous is
2018.
nervous is an understatement. We were broke. Yeah, we were broke, and we were we didn't know if we were going to make it, honestly. So um yeah, the make or break was COVID, I think, because when we lost the few restaurants we had, we knew that we had to just crank out the retail clamshells and just get more of it. And 2021 was really a big breakthrough year for us. We didn't go online. We didn't start the farmers market. We didn't change everything. We just went and grabbed another 15 accounts over the course of 18 months and maxed out. And that was really what was key there. And I think, of course, what allowed us to do that is that we had the systems in place. We actually could onboard a lot more accounts quickly. We were confident in our growing methods. Everything was figured out when it comes to logistics, when it comes to production, when it comes to staff. So we were able to do it. But yeah, we were very, very nervous for a couple of years there. Yeah, it's been it was tough at the beginning.
Now, do you feel like the business, I hate to use the phrase worry free because, something always can happen, right? Engines break on cars, as you just had happen, and stuff goes wrong. But I mean more the day to day. And maybe I'll tell a story and that'll help you answer this. Early on when I started our business, it was like, okay, is this working? It's working. Is this just a trend? Like, can it, it could die tomorrow. And then eventually, though, you see a long enough track record and you've done it for long enough, your mind shifts out of, all right, obviously the world can change tomorrow and we're throwing that scenario out, but this feels like it's got legs. It feels stable. Do you feel like at this point the microgreen side is stable? It's a train going down the tracks at a consistent speed?
Sure, as long as we have enough crew members. When we're shorthanded, it's tough. It feels like a giant setback. Uh, but yeah. To answer shortly, yes, we are. You know, we have customers that have been purchasing from us for 5, 6, 7 years every week. Um, Sales have gone up every year at all of our locations, except for one. I need to get rid of those guys. Um, it's so yeah, I think we have it feels like it's kind of on automatic to a certain degree, and that it's steady and we're confident with it. So what we've done is that all this stress relief that this has provided, we've just decided to put ourselves in this horribly stressful project of mushroom cultivation and get that off the ground. And we're only able to do that based on sinking a bunch of profits from the microgreens into that new project. So in a way, it's less stressful just because we know we have the cash flow to do it. So yeah, some confidence, a little bit.
That is a bit of the entrepreneurial curse. It's once things feel the most stable, easygoing, it's like it gets, I don't want to say boring, but it's, yeah, let's do something different. And
It does get boring.
you go back to day one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it
I
get
mean,
boring for you?
well, let's put it this way. I have the temperament where I like to start a business, not to run it. So running the business, the day-to-day management and all that's like, yeah, I find some joy in it, and it's all right as long as I'm not completely short-handed and I don't have to do all the chores, which happens often. But it's not really where I think I'm good at, nor is it what makes me tick. I am more of the mind of, let's build this farm. The microgreens is the spearhead.
T-
Um,
Yeah.
it's what we use to get a foot in the door. It generates enough top line revenue and enough uh, profit margins and enough compost in our compost pile so that we can actually think of building a farm over the course of the next 10 or 20 years. So that's been my approach from the get-go. I never saw this being like the end all be all, and I never saw this company be a microgreens company only from the get-go. So we have we want to do more things, and we want to do interesting things too. Not just rinse and repeat broccoli microgreens, although that's pretty nice too. So
It,
yeah, that's
so is the idea here now we have a customer base, they're loyal, we've proven one model. Let's take everything we've learned, systems, quality control, pricing, sales, staffing, product. I mean, you just learn a ton doing this, and then we can just take all that knowledge, drop it into slot B. We have a customer base we can feed it into. When that's perfected, move it over to slot C, and you could just, in theory, ad infinitum, just keep going, right?
Diego. I could not have explained it better.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of where my journey has been. If I look back to, I mean, right around when we would have been doing this podcast, we would have been about a year old. So we started businesses about the same time. We were solely paper pot focused. That
Mhm.
became challenged because if you're just, it'd be like if you just sold sunflower shoots, right?
Sure.
That only gets you so far. And if something ever happens with the sunflower seed supply, it just makes your life really chaotic. And like we were in that position of, okay, we need to try and do other things. And what have we learned? What works for us? What fits our interests? And a lot of, well, my interests, because I found the more I do this, I'm much like you. I don't love the day to day. I don't, when something's 5 years old and everything's, I don't want to say everything's been figured out, but when you figured out 95% of the stuff that happens 99% of the time, it gets old. And I personally, like, I'm looking to do other things, and you have other ideas. And then you have one business that, like you said, I mean, it generates profit. Like, well, we could use this to fund something else and get into that. And that's the stage you're at now with the whole mushroom thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Um, yeah, I suppose there's danger in that too, but I'm a risk taker, so I'm fine with it. Um, we I'm already thinking of what's next after the mushrooms, although we're only at 20% capacity in our production and sales. So it's very, very fresh. I mean, we literally just have figured out how to grow mushrooms properly and not get disease and have good results. So it's really uh to me like the long-term project of building a diversified organic farm is really the vision, and that's where the fun is, and that's where we think we can have like a little legacy building project there, and that's I think that's something to give like good perspective, and then yeah, adding each part to the enterprise is going to be its own little adventure. But yeah, we have the market, of course we have the market stream figured out. we just have to we just have to give. I think when once you sell something to a customer every week, if you have another product that's good, it's it's not that hard to get going. So that's our approach. We're going to try to continue on the same trajectory there.
Is this vision, personal curiosity, why you decided to go into something new versus expanding microgreens? Because all that you could have spent all that money, all that time into another microgreen grow area and just regionally expand it. So you move out of the New York City market and you sell it to, I don't know, upstate New York, Boston, whatever, Connecticut, all the other places near there, and you just expand out. But now you're just doing more of the same thing at a bigger scale. And I don't know, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth. You're just like, I don't want to do that. I'd rather do something different and stay in the same market. So we're expanding horizontally instead of just trying to go, well, we're expanding horizontally product wise instead of horizontally geographically.
Yeah, that's exactly that. I'm sure you could find millions of business gurus videos on the internet telling you to never do that. but uh, but yeah, that's how we go about it. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
at least you figured out one business first. I was talking to somebody and they were starting several at the same time. So imagine starting your mushroom farm and your microgreen farm and let's say a market garden all at the same time, and you'd never done any of them. And that just seemed like a disaster to me. So at least you have one that's running and it becomes somewhat of a cycle where that flywheel is just spinning so you can focus efforts over here and get the other one going.
Yeah, I think years ago, I like ten or so years ago, I really got into internet cool farmers. So I was following Jean-Martin Fortier and Curtis Stone and all that. I was really looking into urban farming and into small scale farming, market gardening, and all the different things, and mushrooms as well at the time already. But really, what I determined is like I had no experience. I had never worked on a farm. I didn't really have a plan to go work on a farm. I wanted to start something, and I just wanted to start something narrow and simple and repeatable, and not get myself into something too complex from the get-go. And I thought I will have the opportunity in the future. If that works, if that bankrolls the next project, I can always expand and learn the next, more complex, more interesting skill. And um, and now the thing is, because we have this operation, we have the byproducts of this operation, we have the logistics, we have the location. So we have actually a lot of elements that we can continue building on this farm, and developing it with a lot more momentum than if I had started and say a market garden and decided to grow 20 different crops with my complete lack of experience. So I think for where I was when I started and my level of skill, my level of experience, it was just the way to do it, to go super niche.
How would you describe your day to day now? Would you say it's fun?
Um, it's rewarding. It's I don't know. I think fun is overrated. It's rewarding. It's meaningful. Um, you know, like I know why I work. It's not just for the business. I just it's a bigger thing. I'm very committed spiritually, personally, and I see work as one of the many different facets of life. Uh, but I don't seek fun in it. I want to be good at it. I want to perform. I want to do the best I can, and I want to go see my kids at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and not stay at work until 7:30. So I just uh, I just have expectations of giving the best I can every day. That's all. Nah, some days are fun, yeah. Some days are not.
But on the flip side, you don't hate it because
No,
you could
no,
be
I don't
great
hate
at
it.
it, but you could be like, I guess where I'm at is the day to day, like the stuff that you do. Like it's rewarding to sell to customers. It's rewarding to change the food system or whatever the values you have. It's rewarding to say I built a business. But have you gotten to the point or where it's just like I just don't want to do I don't want to fill another effing tray. I don't want to harvest another tray. Like get it out of my face. I'm just done. I've harvested 10,000 and that's enough.
It sounds like that comes from you, not from me. Uh, no, no, I don't have that. But I also am working very, very hard for many years to get myself out of all the jobs that I hate the most. So that's also a big part of it. Uh, you know, this is a business here. We have a team. We have entry level people, and we have business owners and managers, and we have crew leaders. So, some stuff, yeah, it's rough and it's horrible. And we've been doing deliveries to New York City, leaving at 4:30 in the morning, and loading the truck and coming back at 6 at night, and doing 23 stops. I mean, we've done that for years, and it's ridiculous, and it's not fun at all. But sometimes it's worth it. You got to do the difficult thing that's unpleasant so that in the future you don't have to. And now we have a 25-year-old, 30-year-old guy who really needs the job, and he's doing it. We pay him very generously. And yeah, it's great. It's awesome. I'm here at the farm when he comes back, his eyes bloodshot from driving for like 14 hours straight. And I mean, it's just what it is. So I think what you described is that you get into this mindset if you don't have a plan to get yourself out of this position. Because you might be doing the things that really you've done it for a million times and you hate it. So, for instance, yesterday at 5 o'clock, I was watering the greenhouse. Nothing's automated here. I was watering the microgreens trays. I've watered millions of microgreens trays. It's no fun, you know. But I know that it's just because we have someone out and we're hiring, and it's short term. It's just because it is what it is today, and hopefully next week I don't have to do it. So yeah, I think the what really keeps this kind of stuff at bay is having long-term plans and knowing how to delegate those tasks that are entry level and that you don't want to do, that don't provide enough value for, that you can provide more as a maybe an entrepreneur, business owner, business manager. So you should delegate that stuff.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Have a plan, delegate, hire people, and maybe one of the most important things you said is, is it rewarding? And you said, maybe a few times, this is rewarding to me. And it's, I am recording this. I had to get up at 3 a.m. to do this. I wouldn't do that for a lot of jobs that I've had in the past. It'd be like, oh, damn, I got to do this. But today it's like, hey, I'm excited to do this. Not a problem. We'll get it done. So, yeah, I hear you. It's been a cool journey. It's been great to see you stay in business after 6 years because a lot of farmers have came and gone. Running a business isn't easy. Running a farm related business isn't easy. For for people that are very new to the microgreen game, what what would you tell them for like these are the things in Vincent's mind that are critically important to making it long term in a microgreen business? As many of them as you want to give, as simple or as detailed as you want, it's totally up to you.
Well, I would give the advice to avoid a few of the mistakes that I've made personally. So, number one, just get good before you make it a business. Before you start a microgreens farm, before you decide to grow, 20 trays and go to the farmer's market or whatever, get good at growing 2 or 5 trays a week and get perfect quality and nail down your process and your understanding of the plants, the biology, the seeds, the soil, all of it. Um, because once you're in business and you have failure, now you're just losing money and it's stressful and it's painful, and now you're second guessing your entire thing. So I really believe that you should because it's low barrier to entry, you can do it on your kitchen counter. You can have a shelf in your basement and have 4 trays growing for 6 months and experiment with all your crops and take notes and get really good at it before you go in business. Because once you're in business, you don't really have time to do this stuff. Now you have other considerations. Now you're talking about sales and marketing and developing the brand and all this stuff, and then you're going to inevitably shortcut your ability to get excellent at growing microgreens. That's the first piece of advice. And by the way, I did not follow this piece of advice. I painfully learned how while being already in business. So, and I had a lot of crop failures in the first year and a lot of nonsense. And so it was very, very stressful.
Well, before you get to another one, I mean,
Um,
this is the
yeah.
crazy thing, right? If I told you up front or anybody up front, including myself, I'll give you a no risk way to greatly increase your chances of success.
Mhm.
The only catch is you have to do it every day for a year. That most people would not do it. That's the thing. It's like that phrase, eat an apple a day keeps a doctor away. The hard part is eating an apple every single day. And for somebody to like grow the stuff, take notes, learn, take observations over a statistically significant period of time where you actually learn,
Yep.
is really hard, even with
Yeah, but
no
this is
risk.
yeah, but the no risk is a giant part because you don't have money in this,
Well,
or
there you
whatever.
go.
You have your little
Right.
setup. You don't have stress. It's just fun. You're just gonna be eating microgreens for a year, and you're gonna build confidence. You're gonna experiment with all kind of stuff. So that's really the way to start. Um, and then the second part is just forget about microgreens and learn about business. Learn about cost control. Learn about how to run a proper set of financial reports. Learn about how to run forecasting, pro forma P&Ls and all that, because this is going to be what's going to be make or break. Like I said, this is what almost broke us, right? It's not the microgreens that are going to fail, it's your finances.
Yeah.
So that's really the way to prepare, is to, you don't want to be a microgreens grower, you want to be a business owner, and your business is producing microgreens. um yeah, I think that's just really key. And the third thing is, do the marketing, well, do the market research and understand who you're going to sell enough microgreens to justify being in business, and if it's feasible, because it might not be feasible. I don't know. We've seen a lot of people come and go, seen a lot of people shut down and fail. So don't just assume that it's feasible because you've seen two videos on the internet telling you like, "Ooh, it's the next hot thing and you can do it." Well, yeah, you can grow microgreen trays in your basement, sure, but can you make a business out of it? Be prudent, be cautious. Do like go and grow your 4 trays of microgreens for a year in your basement, and then design your little packaging and just go present it to some prospective buyers. You have no money invested, you've got $1,000 in this, and then you can actually judge if there is an opportunity or not. In my case, it was very clear, but I'm in a very unique situation, right? Like we said, New York City, I saw there was a gap in the market. I jumped on it. Well, I don't know. Maybe that opportunity exists near you. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe the restaurants don't have a good supplier near you. Maybe you go to the farmer's market and there are already 2 microgreens guys. So I think your market research, your business research, and being good at it before you start the business.
Yeah, absolutely key. Get good at something, see if you can find a niche, and does that niche have a market that you can sell to? So awesome to hear. Agrarian Feast. People can check you out on Instagram if they're anywhere in the New York City area. They can find you at a lot of stores. I really want to thank you for coming on to share some knowledge about microgreens. We should do one in the future about the whole mushroom thing. It's something I do want to talk about. I think there's a lot there, but thanks again, man.
Diego, thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks for waking up early to talk. And yeah, we can talk about mushrooms in the future. It'll be great.